Hello, and welcome to Bedtime Science, the place where curiosity meets relaxation, and we journey together into the wonders of the world from the comfort of your bed. If you're new here, be sure to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an exploration into the amazing topics we dive into. Now, before we begin tonight's fascinating adventure, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching or listening from? Are you nestled under the stars, drifting off somewhere cozy? Or perhaps you're in a quiet corner of the world, relaxing before a good night's sleep. Wherever you are, I invite you to close your eyes, settle in, and let the science of the ancient world take you on a journey back through time. Tonight, we're going to travel millions of years back in history, to a time when Earth was ruled by creatures of unimaginable size and complexity. Dinosaurs. These extraordinary beings roamed the land, the skies, and the seas, each one playing a unique role in the vast ecosystems of their time. Their story is not just one of extinction, but of evolution, survival, and the profound impact they left on the world we know today. So as you begin to unwind, let's take a slow, soothing trip through the history of the dinosaurs, exploring the mysteries they've left behind, the theories that challenge our understanding, and the scientists who've spent their lives uncovering their secrets. Ready to begin? Let's dive in. Before we dive into the remarkable world of dinosaurs, let's take a step back, long before they ever walked the Earth. Imagine a time when the planet was a very different place, much quieter, and yet teeming with strange creatures that laid the foundation for the future. In this early chapter of life, we find the ancestors of the dinosaurs, creatures that were themselves a step in a much larger evolutionary dance. The history of life on Earth stretches back billions of years, and for much of that time the planet was dominated by simple organisms. But as time progressed, the stage was set for something extraordinary to unfold. Life began to evolve into more complex forms, leading to the emergence of the first vertebrates, animals with backbones. This was the beginning of the great evolutionary journey that would eventually lead to the dinosaurs. Now, we traditionally think of reptiles as being the ancestors of dinosaurs, but that's where things get interesting. Many of the ideas we have today were shaped by early paleontologists who pieced together what little they could understand from fossils. Back in the mid-19th century, two great minds, Edward Drinker Cope and Othniel Charles Marsh, were at the forefront of discovering dinosaurs in what's known as the Bone Wars. While their rivalry led to the discovery of numerous dinosaur species, it also resulted in some missteps, ideas about reptilian evolution that we now know were incomplete or even wrong. For example, early paleontologists believed that reptiles like Dimetrodon, which lived millions of years before the first true dinosaurs, were part of the direct lineage leading to the dinosaurs. But this is an important misconception. Dimetrodon wasn't a dinosaur at all. It was a much earlier, more primitive creature that was part of a completely different branch of reptile evolution. The story of early reptiles is a fascinating one, but it doesn't always follow the straight path we might expect. One of the theories that challenges the traditional thinking is something called archiphylogenesis. This idea suggests that early reptiles didn't evolve from amphibians in the simple, linear fashion that most of us have been taught. Instead, it proposes that reptiles evolved in entirely different ways, branching off from their amphibian ancestors in a more complex manner, with many side paths and unexpected twists along the way. This theory, which challenges some of the conventional wisdom of the time, was suggested by researchers who were looking at the fossil evidence through a new lens. As we move forward in time, the first reptiles to really set the stage for dinosaurs begin to appear. These creatures were not quite dinosaurs, but they were stepping stones on the evolutionary ladder. Around 300 million years ago, during the late Carboniferous period, early reptiles began to dominate. These reptiles, part of a group known as synapsids, were precursors to both mammals and reptiles. Over time, one particular group of reptiles, called diapsids, would give rise to the dinosaurs. But this transition wasn't a simple one. It was filled with experimentation and trial and error. In more recent years, paleontologists like Boris Sokolov have revisited the way we understand this evolutionary progression. Sokolov's work challenges the idea that synapsids directly evolved into reptiles. Instead, he argues that the story of reptile evolution is far more complicated, with multiple paths and branching lines, some of which eventually led to the dinosaurs, while others gave rise to mammals. At this point, we have to talk about Dimetrodon again. It's important to remember that Dimetrodon, with its sail-like structure on its back, wasn't a dinosaur but a creature that lived long before them. For a time, paleontologists mistakenly placed it on the same evolutionary branch as dinosaurs, thinking that it was an early ancestor. But Dimetrodon was a synapsid, not a diapsid, and it was one of the species that didn't follow the same evolutionary trajectory that dinosaurs did. These misunderstandings from early paleontologists were corrected as new evidence came to light, leading us to a more accurate picture of the evolution of dinosaurs. As we venture deeper into Earth's history, we can see that the first true dinosaurs began to emerge during the late Triassic period, around 230 million years ago. But the groundwork for their existence was laid much earlier, through the development of early reptiles that adapted to new environments in fascinating ways. Life was experimenting, evolving, and changing in ways that were entirely unexpected, setting the stage for the mighty creatures that would eventually dominate the planet. Looking at these early reptiles and the strange paths they took on the evolutionary tree, we realize that the emergence of dinosaurs was not a foregone conclusion. It was the result of countless twists, turns, and unexpected evolutionary paths. Just as Dimetrodon shows us, the road to the dinosaurs was full of fascinating detours, and it was only after millions of years of experimentation that the true ancestors of the dinosaurs emerged. This journey back in time reminds us that life on Earth has always been in a constant state of flux, constantly adapting, changing, and evolving. And as we move forward in time to the rise of the dinosaurs, we carry with us this understanding that life's evolution is not a simple line, but a complex branching tree of possibilities. Each step on this tree is the result of millions of years of trial and error, with some branches fading away and others blossoming into the incredible creatures we recognize today. So as we continue our journey through the story of the dinosaurs, it's important to keep in mind that their reign was not inevitable. It was the result of a long process that began long before they ever appeared, and it was influenced by the creatures that came before them, creatures whose names might not be as famous but whose impact on Earth's history was just as profound. The world at the close of the Permian period, around 250 million years ago, was unrecognizable compared to what we know today. Imagine a planet where vast stretches of land were scorched, oceans ran dry, and the air was thick with toxins. This was the result of the Permian-Triassic extinction event, the most catastrophic mass extinction Earth has ever experienced, wiping out over 90% of marine species and 75% of terrestrial life. But what truly caused this event? Was it a single, obvious trigger, like the asteroid impact that we often associate with later extinctions? Or were there more subtle, longer-term forces at play? One prominent theory suggests that the Permian-Triassic extinction wasn't caused by one sudden event but by a series of slowly developing biological phenomena. The Earth was already undergoing gradual environmental changes that would set the stage for the collapse of life as it existed. Some scientists believe that microbial life, which forms the foundation of ecosystems in every corner of the planet, played a far more significant role than we previously realized. Robert Gastaldo, a paleontologist known for his work on early ecosystems, has proposed that the rise of certain types of microorganisms, specifically those involved in producing methane, could have contributed to the environmental collapse. As these microbes proliferated, they released large amounts of methane into the atmosphere, causing a dramatic warming effect that disrupted the delicate balance of life. This theory suggests that life on Earth was more fragile than we once thought, with even the smallest organisms playing a pivotal role in shaping the planet's future. The extinction event wasn't just the result of volcanic activity or a meteorite impact, as some might suggest, but a complex web of interrelated biological and environmental changes that spiraled into an overwhelming crisis. The Earth's ecosystems, already on a delicate balance, were pushed over the edge by these microbial forces, and the result was a mass extinction that would reshape life on Earth. But from the ashes of this cataclysmic event, life slowly began to recover. The Triassic period, which began around 250 million years ago, marked the beginning of that recovery. With the extinction of so many dominant species, new opportunities arose for the survivors. Among these survivors were early reptiles, whose adaptability allowed them to fill the ecological niches left behind. It was during this time that we begin to see the first signs of what would later become the dinosaurs. The recovery from the Permian-Triassic extinction was not a rapid event, but rather a gradual process. Life needed to rebuild from the bottom up, and the Triassic period provided the perfect environment for this. As the planet stabilized, ecosystems began to diversify in unexpected ways, paving the way for reptiles to evolve and fill a variety of ecological roles. This was the birth of the Age of Reptiles. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Triassic recovery is how reptiles adapted and diversified in ways that would lay the foundation for dinosaurs. Paleontologist Sally Sheenstra has worked extensively on early reptile habitats, examining the ways in which these environments shaped the evolution of reptiles. Her research suggests that the Triassic period was marked by a profound environmental shift that allowed reptiles to flourish. In particular, the climate of the Triassic was warmer and more stable than the preceding periods, which allowed for the development of new, more specialized forms of life. These early reptiles were able to exploit different environments, from lush, humid forests to arid deserts, which set the stage for their later evolution into the dinosaurs. There's also an intriguing theory that challenges the commonly held belief that dinosaurs originated solely in terrestrial environments. Some scientists suggest that early dinosaur ancestors may have first evolved in marine environments, not on land. This theory challenges the traditional view of dinosaurs emerging from land-dwelling reptiles and suggests that the oceans, with their abundance of resources, may have provided a more fertile ground for early dinosaur ancestors. This idea opens up a whole new realm of possibilities for how dinosaurs evolved and adapted to different environments. As we look more closely at the early reptiles of the Triassic, we begin to see signs of an evolutionary shift that would eventually lead to the dinosaurs. One of the most interesting examples of this shift is a creature known as Shuvosaurus. This early reptile, which lived during the late Triassic, was a relatively small bipedal animal that exhibited some of the earliest signs of the adaptations we associate with dinosaurs. It is often cited as an example of the kind of transitional species that helped bridge the gap between earlier reptiles and the first true dinosaurs. The fact that Shuvosaurus was already showing signs of bipedal locomotion, a characteristic that would become crucial to the success of the dinosaurs, suggests that the Triassic period was a time of incredible evolutionary experimentation. The presence of bipedal locomotion in such early reptiles is significant because it hints at the kinds of evolutionary transitions that would become more pronounced as we move into the Jurassic period. Bipedalism, with its energy efficiency and ability to support larger body sizes, was one of the key factors that allowed dinosaurs to dominate the Earth. The fact that creatures like Shuvosaurus were already experimenting with these adaptations during the Triassic period provides valuable insight into how dinosaurs would eventually evolve and take over as the dominant land animals. As the Triassic period continued, the reptiles that had survived the extinction event began to branch out into a wide variety of forms. Some of them would evolve into the massive plant-eating sauropods and the fearsome carnivorous theropods. Others would continue to explore new niches, eventually leading to the development of mammals, birds, and other forms of life. The Triassic period was a time of profound transformation, where the foundation for the entire Mesozoic era, the age of the dinosaurs, was laid. But it wasn't just the animals that were evolving during this time. The environment itself was also changing, providing the conditions necessary for the diversification of life. The land masses that had once been connected began to break apart, creating new seas and shaping the climate in ways that allowed for even more diversity. This was the beginning of the world as we know it, a world in which dinosaurs would eventually come to dominate, but only after a long and gradual period of adaptation and evolution. So, as we reflect on the Triassic period, it's clear that it was a time of incredible change. From the devastating extinction event that wiped out most life to the radical diversification of reptiles and the first signs of dinosaurs, the Triassic period set the stage for everything that followed. Life on Earth was not starting from scratch, but rather rebuilding itself in new and exciting ways. And as we move forward in time, we'll see how these early reptiles, with their extraordinary adaptability and willingness to experiment with new forms of life, would eventually give rise to the dinosaurs that would rule the Earth for millions of years to come. The Jurassic period, which began around 210 million years ago, is often thought of as the time when dinosaurs truly came into their own. Imagine a world where massive creatures roamed the Earth, their towering forms and colossal sizes dominating the landscape. From the long-necked, plant-eating sauropods like Brachiosaurus to the fierce carnivores like Allosaurus, the Jurassic is often seen as the time when dinosaurs reached their peak. But how did they grow so large? Why did some species evolve to become giants, while others remained much smaller? One of the more interesting perspectives on dinosaur size comes from a theory known as the dinosaur size hypothesis, proposed by the paleontologist Michael J. Benton. Benton suggests that rather than size being an inevitable outcome of evolutionary progress, it was actually driven by specific environmental pressures. In other words, the massive sizes of certain dinosaurs weren't an accidental side effect of evolution, but a direct response to the conditions of their environments. The idea here is that certain climatic conditions, such as the warm, stable temperatures of the Jurassic period, favoured the growth of large animals. Larger animals, especially herbivores, would have had a better chance of surviving because their sheer size offered protection from predators, and they could consume vast amounts of vegetation without the competition of smaller herbivores. This theory also ties into the idea that some of the traditional assumptions we have about dinosaurs may be incomplete. It's easy to assume that dinosaurs were cold-blooded reptiles, but recent research suggests that the metabolic functions of dinosaurs could have been far more complex. Darren Naish, a respected paleontologist, has proposed that some dinosaur species may have had a more efficient metabolic system, similar to that of warm-blooded animals. This would have allowed them to grow larger and survive in more varied climates. By improving thermoregulation, essentially how animals maintain their body temperature, dinosaurs could have enhanced their ability to thrive in the warm, stable environment of the Jurassic. The idea is that large body size, in addition to being a survival strategy, might have been coupled with a metabolic system that was more efficient than we traditionally believe. This leads us to think about what life was like in the Jurassic, not just for the dinosaurs but for the plants and smaller creatures that coexisted with them. Much of the diet of herbivorous dinosaurs depended on the plants that grew around them, and there's a growing body of research that suggests plant diversity during the Jurassic was far more intricate than we once thought. Patricia L. Gensel, a researcher who has studied pre-Jurassic plants, argues that the complexity of plant life during this time played a critical role in shaping herbivore evolution. Gensel's work shows that the plants of the Jurassic were not just a passive backdrop to the dinosaur world, but active participants in shaping the food webs of the time. As plants diversified, herbivores had to adapt to a wider variety of food sources, and this may have driven the development of new types of herbivorous dinosaurs, with specialized feeding strategies to take advantage of different plant types. This brings us to an exciting theory about the behavior of some of the largest herbivorous dinosaurs, specifically sauropods like Apatosaurus and Brachiosaurus. Early research suggested that these enormous creatures simply wandered alone, grazing as they moved across the landscape. However, recent work by paleontologist Laurie M. Johnson has started to change that perception. Johnson suggests that sauropods might have exhibited eusocial behaviors, much like some modern animals such as elephants or even certain species of birds. This means that rather than being solitary giants, sauropods might have lived in large, structured social groups. By cooperating, these large herbivores could have protected each other from predators, helped raise their young, and even coordinated movements to access food sources more efficiently. This idea, though still debated, presents a fascinating possibility. Giant herbivores not just as solitary giants, but as social animals with complex group dynamics. Of course, the rise of such large herbivores would have placed enormous pressure on the carnivores of the Jurassic period. The large predators, like Allosaurus, had to develop strategies to take down such massive prey. But what about the smaller carnivores? How did they fit into this picture? The research of David Polito, a paleontologist known for his work on trace fossils, has shed light on the dynamics of predator-prey interactions during the Jurassic. Polito's research challenges the traditional view that large carnivores were the dominant hunters. Instead, his work suggests that smaller predators may have played a more important role than we previously realized, using their speed and agility to hunt smaller, more vulnerable prey. Trace fossils, which include things like footprints and bite marks, provide valuable evidence of these interactions, showing how predators and prey navigated their world. Polito's findings suggest that the food chain was much more complex than just a few apex predators hunting large prey. Smaller carnivores had their own ecological niches, and their interactions with herbivores were just as important in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem. But it wasn't just the large herbivores and fierce predators that defined the Jurassic world. It was a time of experimentation, with new evolutionary strategies emerging all the time. Some of the most iconic features of Jurassic dinosaurs, such as large, powerful tails, sharp teeth, and high-speed running abilities, were all the result of these evolutionary experiments. But it was also a time when the Earth itself was changing. The land masses that made up Pangaea began to split apart, creating new coastlines, seas, and mountain ranges. These changes in the environment created new habitats, and this led to a further explosion of diversity among the dinosaurs. As the climate remained warm, with high carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere, plant life flourished, and dinosaurs had all the resources they needed to grow larger, develop more specialized features, and fill new ecological niches. As the Jurassic progressed, we saw the emergence of iconic dinosaur species that would shape the rest of the Mesozoic era. The enormous sauropods dominated the land, while the theropods, including the first birds, began to take to the skies. This was a period of incredible innovation, where dinosaurs pushed the boundaries of what life could achieve. The creatures that survived the tumultuous end of the Triassic period were now living in a world that was ripe for their success. The Jurassic was their time, a time when dinosaurs weren't just growing larger but were also becoming more diverse, more specialized, and more adaptable. This is the world we think of when we imagine the Great Age of Dinosaurs, the time when giants roamed the Earth, when the landscape was dominated by massive creatures that pushed the boundaries of size and complexity. But as we've seen, the story of how these giants came to be is far more intricate than simply being a product of evolutionary luck. It was a time of experimentation, where new ideas about behavior, size, and survival were forged, and with each new discovery, we continue to uncover more about how these majestic creatures lived, interacted, and thrived in a world that was constantly changing. The Cretaceous period, spanning from approximately 145 to 66 million years ago, is often considered the pinnacle of dinosaur evolution, a time when many of the most iconic species emerged. It was during this period that dinosaurs reached new heights of diversity and complexity, but it was also a time of profound change in how dinosaurs interacted with their environment and each other. For decades, the narrative surrounding dinosaur behavior has suggested that they were largely solitary creatures, particularly the larger species. However, some of the latest research suggests that the reality was far more complex, especially during the late Cretaceous. One of the leading voices in this new understanding is Sergei Kurzanov, a Russian paleontologist whose theories on late Cretaceous dinosaur behaviors challenge our assumptions about how these creatures lived. Kurzanov has posited that some species, particularly large theropods, may have engaged in social behaviors far more advanced than we ever imagined. Instead of simply being solitary hunters, many dinosaurs, including species like Tyrannosaurus rex, might have formed complex social groups. These groups could have engaged in cooperative hunting, social bonding, and even communal care for their young, behaviors we often attribute to modern animals like elephants and wolves. Kurzanov's work suggests that the social structures of some Cretaceous dinosaurs were deeply rooted in the need for survival and cooperation. It's easy to imagine that these large predators, roaming vast distances in search of food, would have had to rely on each other for survival in a world that was becoming increasingly competitive and resource scarce. The idea that such large animals could form social bonds challenges our previous assumptions about their behavior and opens up new possibilities for how we understand the social lives of these ancient creatures. Adding another layer of complexity to our understanding of Cretaceous dinosaurs is the work of Monique S.S. Lobato, who has explored unusual features in some dinosaur species, including beak-like adaptations that seem to suggest a more complex feeding strategy. The presence of beaks, such as those seen in some herbivorous dinosaurs like Hadrosaurus, doesn't simply suggest an adaptation for eating plants. It also points to the possibility that these dinosaurs were adapting to new ecological niches in increasingly diverse environments. Lobato's research suggests that these beak adaptations may have evolved not just for efficient plant consumption, but for more specialized feeding behaviors. Some of these dinosaurs may have been able to exploit a broader range of plant species, including those that were harder to access, like tougher, fibrous plants that required more specialized techniques to break down. This new perspective on dinosaur evolution proposes that beak adaptations could have been part of a larger evolutionary trend toward more complex ecological interactions, with species adapting to a variety of environmental challenges in novel ways. Lobato's work also challenges the idea that dinosaurs were simply following an evolutionary path of simple survival. Instead, her research shows that their adaptations were often far more intricate, allowing them to exploit food sources in ways that modern animals still struggle to replicate. In this light, the Cretaceous dinosaurs appear not as mere survivors, but as active agents shaping their ecosystems through their behaviors and feeding strategies. But it wasn't just diet and behavior that evolved in unexpected ways. The Cretaceous period also brought new ideas about how dinosaurs managed their internal body functions, particularly their ability to regulate body temperature. For years, paleontologists adhered to the idea that dinosaurs, like modern reptiles, were cold-blooded creatures, meaning that their body temperature was dictated by the temperature of the environment around them. However, in recent decades, scientists like Timothy R. Rowe have suggested that dinosaurs, particularly those living during the Cretaceous, may have had more sophisticated thermoregulatory strategies than previously believed. Rowe's research proposes that many Cretaceous dinosaurs may have been able to regulate their body temperature more dynamically than we once thought. This could have given them the ability to remain active in a wider range of temperatures, expanding their opportunities for feeding, hunting, and reproduction. Such advanced thermoregulation would have been particularly advantageous in the warm, fluctuating climates of the late Cretaceous, where temperature extremes between day and night could have been significant. Dinosaurs with the ability to regulate their body temperature more effectively would have had a better chance of thriving in such a diverse and constantly changing environment. This idea challenges the older view of dinosaurs as sluggish, cold-blooded reptiles, and suggests that, like modern birds and mammals, they may have had the ability to generate and maintain their body heat. The implications of this theory are far-reaching. If dinosaurs could control their body temperature in such a dynamic way, it would have allowed them to grow larger, remain more active, and perhaps even engage in behaviors that were previously considered exclusive to warm-blooded animals. One of the most exciting aspects of this theory is its connection to the evolution of feathers. For many years, feathers were thought to be an adaptation exclusively for birds, but more recent discoveries have shown that some dinosaurs, particularly theropods, had feathers too. The idea that feathers could have been used for thermoregulation, rather than just flight, has opened up new lines of inquiry into how feathers first evolved. This has been particularly explored by scientists at Yale's Peabody Museum, who have conducted extensive research into the evolutionary paths of theropods. Their work suggests that feathers may have initially evolved not for flight, but as an adaptation to help regulate body temperature, providing a new layer of insulation. This theory is further supported by the fossil evidence, which shows that some non-avian dinosaurs, such as Velociraptor, had feather-like structures, despite being far from the birds we recognize today. The discovery of feathers in non-avian dinosaurs has dramatically reshaped our understanding of dinosaur physiology and behavior. Instead of seeing feathers as a marker of flight, scientists now understand them as a versatile feature that could have played a crucial role in maintaining homeostasis, or the stable internal environment necessary for life. This opens up a new way of thinking about dinosaur evolution, suggesting that feathers might have been used in a variety of ways long before birds took to the air. Another innovative perspective on the evolution of feathers comes from Jessica Theodore, whose research has explored the environmental factors that might have driven the development of feathers in dinosaurs. Theodore's research suggests that feathered dinosaurs may have evolved their plumage in response to environmental pressures, rather than solely for thermoregulation or flight. She posits that in certain climates, feathered dinosaurs could have used their plumage to adapt to shifting environmental conditions, helping them regulate their temperature, attract mates, or communicate with others of their species. This non-causal approach to feather evolution presents a fascinating view of how organisms can adapt to their surroundings in ways that aren't always tied to a single, obvious function. It suggests that evolution isn't just a straightforward process of survival of the fittest, but a complex interplay of factors, environmental, social, and biological, that drives the development of traits in unexpected ways. As we think about the Cretaceous period, it's clear that it was a time of immense complexity, not just in the sheer size and diversity of the dinosaurs, but also in their behavior, physiology, and adaptations. The Cretaceous was a time when dinosaurs were not just surviving, they were thriving in ways we're only beginning to understand. From social behaviors and feeding strategies to thermoregulation and feather evolution, the Cretaceous was a world of dynamic change, where dinosaurs were constantly adapting to their environment in ways that were far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. As more discoveries are made, we continue to uncover the rich complexity of this ancient world, revealing new insights into the lives of the creatures that once dominated the Earth. For many years, the popular image of dinosaurs has been that of solitary creatures, particularly the iconic predator Tyrannosaurus rex. The image of a lone, fearsome hunter stalking the plains in search of prey was a familiar one, grounded in the idea that larger carnivorous dinosaurs roamed alone, relying solely on their strength and size to survive. But this view is now being challenged by a growing body of evidence suggesting that the behavior of dinosaurs was far more complex than we once believed. Recent research has shed light on the possibility that some species, including large theropods like T-Rex, might have engaged in social behaviors, potentially hunting in packs and living in more communal structures than previously imagined. Peter Makowiecki, a leading paleontologist who has spent much of his career studying theropods, has been at the forefront of revisiting the behavior of these creatures. His work has introduced a fresh perspective on the social dynamics of theropods, suggesting that these animals may not have been the solitary predators they were once thought to be. Instead, Makowiecki proposes that some theropods may have hunted in groups, much like modern-day wolves or lions. He points to evidence such as fossilized trackways and bone beds, sites where multiple individuals of the same species were found together, as possible signs of group behavior. In these instances, the presence of multiple animals together in the same area, particularly when the fossils are preserved in a way that suggests they were living close to one another, hints at the possibility of pack hunting or social cooperation. The idea of pack hunting in dinosaurs might seem surprising at first, given their enormous size and fierce reputations. However, the concept fits well with a growing body of evidence that suggests some dinosaurs may have exhibited behaviors akin to modern social animals. For example, recent studies have revealed that Tyrannosaurus rex might have had an advanced sense of communication, using vocalizations and body language to coordinate with others of its species, particularly in hunting or territorial defense. This idea shifts our understanding of how these creatures might have interacted with one another and challenges the notion of them as simple, solitary predators. Kevin Padian, a paleontologist known for his work on dinosaur behavior and social structures, has further expanded on these ideas. Padian has explored the concept of group living in dinosaurs, particularly focusing on evidence from fossilized nests. These nests provide a unique window into the social lives of some dinosaur species, as they often contain multiple individuals, sometimes with evidence of communal care. One of the most compelling examples of this is the discovery of fossilized nests of Maiasaura, a herbivorous dinosaur that lived during the late Cretaceous period. Maiasaura, whose name means good mother lizard, is often used as evidence of early social structures in dinosaurs. The nests of Maiasaura show that these dinosaurs likely engaged in cooperative parenting, with adults helping to care for and protect the young. The fossil evidence suggests that these dinosaurs lived in large groups, and that social bonds may have played a significant role in their survival. This idea of dinosaurs exhibiting parental care and social behaviors has expanded our understanding of their lifestyle. Rather than simply being solitary, survival-focused creatures, some dinosaurs may have lived in tight-knit family units, much like modern birds and mammals. This theory, which is still in the early stages of exploration, is sometimes referred to as the dinosaurian theory of social complexity. It proposes that, like many animals today, some dinosaurs may have developed social structures that help them thrive in a complex and competitive world. These structures may have been based on cooperation, communication, and group living, with social bonds helping to ensure the survival of individuals and their offspring. For herbivorous dinosaurs, this theory of social complexity also opens up new possibilities. Maiasaura is often seen as the classic example of a herd-dwelling dinosaur, but the idea of herd behavior in dinosaurs is not without its challenges. While it's easy to imagine large groups of herbivores moving together in search of food, new research suggests that these herds might not have behaved in the same way that modern herding animals do. For instance, recent work by Kathleen M. Ritterbusch has proposed that Maiasaura and similar species could have engaged in more complex social behaviors that we don't see in today's herbivores. Ritterbusch's research suggests that these dinosaurs may have exhibited behaviors such as territorial defense, cooperative feeding, and perhaps even some forms of social bonding that went beyond simple group formation. This idea challenges our conventional view of dinosaur herd behavior. Instead of seeing these dinosaurs as mindlessly moving together in large groups, Ritterbusch's work suggests that their social lives were more intricate and varied. They may have formed long-lasting bonds with specific individuals, and their groups may have functioned in a way that helped them navigate the challenges of a rapidly changing environment. Another important aspect of dinosaur behavior is their level of intelligence. For a long time, dinosaurs were thought of as simple, unintelligent creatures, driven only by instinct and basic survival needs. But recent research has begun to challenge this assumption, particularly in regard to theropods, which include some of the most intelligent dinosaurs. In particular, the work of Terry Jones has provided new insights into the cognitive abilities of these animals. Jones has argued that some theropods, especially those closely related to modern birds, may have had cognitive capacities more advanced than previously thought. According to Jones, theropods like Velociraptor and Troodon may have had problem-solving skills, social intelligence, and even the ability to engage in complex communication. These abilities, if proven true, would place them closer in intelligence to modern birds than to traditional reptiles. This view challenges the conventional portrayal of dinosaurs as lumbering, slow-witted creatures, and invites us to reconsider their cognitive abilities. If these animals were capable of complex thought and behavior, then their social structures, hunting strategies, and interactions with their environment would have been far more sophisticated than we once imagined. As we consider the social lives of dinosaurs, it's clear that they were far more complex than the solitary predators and simple herd animals we once thought them to be. New discoveries continue to reshape our understanding of dinosaur behavior, revealing that these creatures were not just surviving, they were thriving in ways we're only beginning to comprehend. From pack hunting and cooperative parenting to complex social structures and advanced cognitive abilities, the behavior of dinosaurs was as dynamic and multifaceted as their physical forms. This emerging picture of dinosaurs as socially complex creatures with advanced behaviors and interactions is a far cry from the traditional image of cold-blooded reptiles. Instead, it paints a picture of creatures that were active participants in their ecosystems, forming relationships, communicating, and even working together to ensure their survival. As we continue to explore the lives of these ancient animals, we may find that their behaviors were far more similar to our own than we ever thought possible. The end of the age of dinosaurs, which occurred around 66 million years ago, has long been a subject of intense scientific inquiry and debate. The question of what caused the mass extinction event that wiped out nearly 3/4 of Earth's species, including the dinosaurs, remains one of the most pivotal topics in paleontology. While the asteroid impact theory has captured the public imagination, numerous other theories have emerged, suggesting that the extinction was far more complex than just one catastrophic event. The most well-known theory, proposed by Luis Alvarez and his son Walter Alvarez in the 1980s, suggests that a massive asteroid, or comet, collided with Earth, releasing an enormous amount of energy and causing widespread destruction. According to their hypothesis, this impact created a massive crater in what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, known as the Chicxulub crater. The impact would have caused massive wildfires, tsunamis, and a nuclear winter effect, blocking out sunlight for months or even years, drastically altering the climate and food chains across the planet. The immediate consequences would have been catastrophic, leading to the rapid extinction of many species, including the non-avian dinosaurs. While the asteroid impact theory remains a dominant explanation for the extinction event, not all scientists agree that it was the sole cause. David J. Botcher, a prominent researcher in the field, has proposed an alternative theory that emphasizes gradual environmental changes in the lead-up to the mass extinction. Botcher suggests that the Earth was already undergoing significant ecological stress before the asteroid impact. He points to changes in ocean chemistry, such as a decline in oxygen levels and the rise of ocean acidification, which could have led to the collapse of marine ecosystems. These slow, ongoing changes may have made life on Earth more vulnerable to the catastrophic asteroid impact, tipping the scales toward mass extinction. Adding another layer to the complexity of the event, Brian J. Farrell has introduced the theory of ecosystem collapse due to prolonged volcanic activity. Farrell argues that massive volcanic eruptions, particularly those in the Deccan Traps in what is now India, released vast amounts of gases like carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. These gases would have contributed to climate change, causing a rise in global temperatures and acid rain, further disrupting ecosystems and biodiversity. The volcanic activity, which occurred over a long period of time, could have gradually weakened the Earth's ecosystems, making them more susceptible to the catastrophic effects of the asteroid impact. Farrell's theory suggests that the combination of volcanic activity and the asteroid impact created a double punch that led to the extinction event. Richard Cowan, a researcher who has studied the extinction in detail, proposes that the mass extinction was not the result of a single cause, but rather a complex series of cascading environmental disasters. According to Cowan, the asteroid impact may have triggered a chain reaction of events, including volcanic activity, climate shifts, and changes in ocean circulation patterns, all of which contributed to the rapid loss of life. Cowan's theory suggests that the extinction event was a multifaceted crisis, with each of these environmental factors interacting with one another in ways that accelerated the collapse of ecosystems across the globe. Rather than a single catastrophic moment, the extinction may have been a prolonged process of gradual environmental degradation, punctuated by the final impact. As we explore the long-term effects of the extinction event, it becomes clear that it didn't simply clear the slate and allow for new life forms to emerge. Instead, the extinction event reshaped ecological niches, paving the way for the rise of mammals and eventually the evolution of humans. Nancy J. Stevens, a researcher who has studied mammalian survivors of the extinction, has shown that while many large species were wiped out, smaller mammals managed to survive and adapt to the new conditions. Stevens' work suggests that the impact didn't just wipe the slate clean, rather, it created new ecological opportunities for mammals, which began to thrive in the absence of the dominant reptiles. Stevens' research also highlights the resilience of certain groups of animals, particularly those that had already developed adaptive traits that allowed them to survive in more varied environments. While the dinosaurs were largely wiped out, many mammals, birds, and other species were able to adapt and evolve in response to the changing conditions. This adaptability, combined with the fact that mammals were relatively small and more diverse than the dinosaurs, allowed them to fill the ecological niches left by the dinosaurs. The impact of the asteroid, while devastating, allowed mammals to flourish and eventually dominate the planet in the millions of years that followed. However, there is also an interesting theory put forward by Matthew J. Lamanna, who suggests that the dinosaurs may have already been in decline long before the asteroid impact. Lamanna's research indicates that the Earth's climate may have been undergoing long-term changes that weakened the dinosaurs' ability to thrive. He points to shifts in global temperatures, changes in sea levels, and the gradual breakdown of ecosystems that may have left dinosaurs vulnerable to extinction. According to Lamanna, the asteroid impact may have been the final blow, but the dinosaurs were already facing significant challenges due to long-term climate factors. This idea questions the traditional view that the asteroid impact was the primary cause of the extinction. Instead, it suggests that the asteroid may have acted as an accelerant, pushing the dinosaurs into extinction, but not necessarily being the sole cause of their decline. Lamanna's research challenges the narrative of a sudden, catastrophic event, proposing instead that the extinction was the result of a combination of long-term environmental stress and a final, rapid catastrophe. As we look at the different theories about the extinction event, it's clear that the true cause of the dinosaurs' demise is likely a combination of factors, each playing a role in the collapse of life on Earth. Whether it was the asteroid impact, volcanic activity, gradual environmental changes, or a combination of these factors, the extinction of the dinosaurs was not a simple event but a complex and multifaceted process. The research of scientists like Luis Alvarez, David Botcher, Brian Farrell, Richard Cowan, Nancy Stevens, and Matthew Lamanna has expanded our understanding of this pivotal moment in Earth's history, showing us that the end of the dinosaurs was not a singular event, but the culmination of numerous environmental forces. The extinction of the dinosaurs, while tragic, paved the way for new life forms to emerge and evolve. The ecosystems that were devastated by the asteroid impact and volcanic activity eventually recovered, but the Earth was forever changed. The rise of mammals, birds, and eventually humans can be traced back to this pivotal moment in history, and as we continue to study the extinction event, we gain valuable insights into the resilience of life and the ways in which our planet's ecosystems can adapt and evolve in response to even the most catastrophic events. In the world of paleontology, every new discovery has the potential to rewrite the history of life on Earth, and some discoveries have been so significant that they've completely transformed our understanding of dinosaurs. One such moment came in the early 1990s with the discovery of dinosaur eggs in China. These eggs, found in the Gobi Desert region, were more than just a thrilling fossil find. They challenged many of the assumptions about dinosaur reproduction. Prior to this discovery, it was widely believed that dinosaurs, like their modern reptilian relatives, laid their eggs in isolated nests, with minimal care or involvement from the parents. However, Zhou Zhonghe's groundbreaking work on these eggs suggested something very different. Zhou's team discovered well-preserved nests containing not just eggs, but also evidence of multiple generations of dinosaurs living and caring for their young in a way that we now recognize as more sophisticated than once believed. These nests showed that some dinosaurs might have exhibited parental care, with adults actively protecting and nurturing their offspring. This discovery changed the way scientists thought about the social behaviors of dinosaurs, suggesting that some species may have lived in familial groups and that reproduction wasn't just a solitary detached event but part of a larger social structure. But it wasn't just discoveries related to reproduction that challenged conventional thinking. In South America, the fossil finds from Patagonia sparked a new debate about dinosaur migration patterns. Patagonia, a region rich in fossilized dinosaur remains, was home to some of the most important discoveries regarding the movement of prehistoric animals. Juana Gallegos, an Argentine paleontologist, proposed a unique hypothesis about the distribution of dinosaur fossils across different continents. Gallegos' research led him to suggest that certain dinosaur species might have migrated between continents, driven by environmental factors such as climate and food availability. This hypothesis was particularly intriguing because it challenged the traditional view that dinosaurs, like many modern animals, were restricted to specific regions. Instead, Gallegos suggested that the movement of dinosaur species across vast distances could explain some of the similarities in fossil records found in places as far apart as South America, Africa, and Antarctica. His work introduced the idea that dinosaurs might have been more mobile than previously thought, adding another layer of complexity to our understanding of their behavior and ecology. Meanwhile, in China's Liaoning province, another groundbreaking discovery was changing the way we viewed dinosaur physiology. The first fossil evidence of feathered dinosaurs was uncovered in the early 1990s, revealing that some dinosaurs, particularly theropods, had feathers long before the first birds evolved. This discovery was a game-changer because it completely overturned the traditional image of dinosaurs as sluggish, cold-blooded reptiles. Chu Xing, a Chinese paleontologist, played a crucial role in uncovering and studying these feathered dinosaurs, including Microraptor, a small four-winged dinosaur that resembled a bird. Xu's work showed that feathers were not exclusive to birds, but were present in their dinosaur ancestors, suggesting that feathers evolved for purposes other than flight. The discovery of feathered dinosaurs led scientists to reconsider how we think about the relationship between dinosaurs and birds, with many now viewing birds as the direct descendants of theropod dinosaurs rather than a completely separate lineage. This discovery also raised new questions about the role of feathers in dinosaur behavior, whether they were used for insulation, mating displays, or perhaps early forms of flight. Feathered dinosaurs like Microraptor and Archaeopteryx provided the missing link between dinosaurs and birds, offering a glimpse into the evolutionary process that led from land-dwelling giants to creatures that could take to the skies. This discovery shifted the way scientists approached dinosaur physiology, showing that some dinosaurs may have been far more dynamic and adaptable than we previously believed. While these discoveries changed our views on reproduction, migration, and physiology, another important fossil find came from South America, where Rodolfo Correa's work on hadrosaur fossils painted a new picture of herbivorous dinosaurs. Hadrosaurs, also known as duck-billed dinosaurs, had long been thought of as relatively uniform in their behavior and social structures. However, Correa's discoveries suggested a much more diverse group of herbivores than scientists had previously recognized. Through his work on hadrosaur fossils, Correa was able to show that these dinosaurs exhibited a wide range of behaviors and adaptations. Some hadrosaurs, for example, were found to have specialized teeth and jaw structures for processing different types of plant material, indicating that they could adapt their diets to varying environments. This diversity in feeding strategies suggested that hadrosaurs were not just passive consumers of plant life, but active participants in shaping the ecosystems around them. Correa's research also suggested that some hadrosaur species may have exhibited social behaviors, living in herds and cooperating with each other to find food and avoid predators. These findings added a new dimension to our understanding of dinosaur behavior, showing that herbivores too could be more than just simple, grazing creatures. They were complex animals with specialized adaptations that allowed them to thrive in a variety of environments. Another important figure in reshaping our understanding of dinosaurs was Sebastian Apesteguía, a paleontologist who has made significant contributions to our knowledge of dinosaur evolution in the southern hemisphere. Apesteguia's research has focused on the fossil evidence found in South America, particularly in Argentina, where he has uncovered key dinosaur species that had previously been unknown. His work has shown that the dinosaurs of the southern hemisphere were far more diverse than we once realized, with species evolving in response to the unique climates and environments of the region. One of Apesteguia's most important discoveries involved the fossilized remains of Abelisaurus, a theropod dinosaur with a unique evolutionary history. The fossil evidence suggested that Abelisaurus and other theropods in South America had adapted to a very different climate from their northern counterparts. These adaptations, according to Apesteguia, provided insight into how dinosaurs were able to thrive in a range of environments, from the warm, humid conditions of the equator to the more arid climates of the southern continents. The discoveries made by Apesteguia, along with those from other researchers like Coria, have helped scientists understand how dinosaurs adapted to different climates across the globe. Far from being a single, uniform group, dinosaurs were a highly diverse and adaptable class of animals, capable of thriving in a variety of ecological niches. These fossil discoveries have had a profound impact on how we think about dinosaurs. They have shown that dinosaurs were not just large, lumbering creatures living in isolated ecosystems. Instead, they were complex, dynamic animals capable of adapting to a wide range of environments and exhibiting a variety of behaviors. Whether through the discovery of parental care, migration patterns, feathered species, or diverse feeding strategies, each new fossil find has helped to reshape our understanding of the dinosaurs' world. And as new discoveries continue to be made, our picture of these ancient creatures only becomes more complex and fascinating. The question of whether dinosaurs were cold-blooded or warm-blooded has been one of the most persistent debates in paleontology for decades. For years, scientists assumed that dinosaurs, like modern reptiles, must have been cold-blooded, meaning their body temperature would fluctuate with the environment. However, this view is increasingly being challenged, as new research offers compelling evidence that dinosaurs may have been much more metabolically complex than previously thought. One of the key figures in this ongoing debate is John H. Hutchinson, a prominent paleontologist who has spent years researching dinosaur physiology. Hutchinson's work, along with that of Michael J. Benton, has provided fresh perspectives on the metabolism of dinosaurs. Both scientists have contributed to the growing body of evidence suggesting that the traditional view of dinosaurs as cold-blooded creatures is too simplistic. Hutchinson has proposed that the metabolic strategies of dinosaurs might have varied greatly across different species, and that many of them likely had more in common with warm-blooded animals than we once believed. The idea that some dinosaurs may have been warm-blooded is not entirely new, but the new research by Hutchinson and Benton offers more rigorous evidence to support this theory. One of the most interesting aspects of their work is the focus on how large dinosaur species, like Tyrannosaurus rex and Brachiosaurus, could have maintained active lifestyles in the warm, fluctuating climates of the Mesozoic era. Unlike cold-blooded animals, which are limited in their activity by external temperatures, warm-blooded creatures can generate their own body heat, allowing them to remain active regardless of the temperature. Hutchinson's research suggests that many dinosaurs, especially theropods and sauropods, may have had the ability to regulate their body temperature in a way that allowed them to thrive in a range of environments, from the hot tropical forests to the cooler, temperate zones of the Mesozoic world. While Hutchinson and Benton's work has provided strong evidence for the idea that dinosaurs may have been warm-blooded, other researchers have proposed alternative theories. One such theory is put forward by Peter Ward, a renowned paleontologist and professor at the University of Washington. Ward has suggested that the gigantism seen in some dinosaurs may have evolved partly due to a unique metabolic strategy. According to Ward, large body size could have conferred advantages in terms of heat retention and regulation. For example, larger animals have a lower surface area relative to their volume, which means they lose heat more slowly than smaller animals. This would have allowed giant dinosaurs to maintain a more stable body temperature, even if the surrounding environment fluctuated. Ward's hypothesis challenges the traditional view that gigantism in dinosaurs was simply a result of evolutionary pressures favouring larger sizes for defence or predation. Instead, he suggests that larger size may have been an adaptation to the environmental pressures of the Mesozoic period, where maintaining a stable body temperature would have been a critical factor for survival. The idea that gigantism could be linked to metabolic strategies rather than just brute strength or survival tactics adds a fascinating new layer to our understanding of how these animals adapted to their environments. Adding to this complex picture of dinosaur physiology is the concept of high-speed thermoregulation, a theory proposed by David P. Schmidt. Schmidt's idea is that dinosaurs, particularly the larger species, might have evolved the ability to regulate their body temperature more dynamically than we once thought. Instead of simply relying on external heat sources, Schmidt suggests that dinosaurs could have had mechanisms that allowed them to generate heat quickly when needed, enabling them to remain active even during periods of cooler weather. This ability would have given dinosaurs a significant advantage in terms of their activity levels, feeding behaviors, and overall survival. Schmidt's theory of high-speed thermoregulation challenges the notion that dinosaurs were simply passive creatures that relied on their environment to dictate their behavior. Instead, it suggests that they may have been more active and energetic, able to adjust their body temperature as needed in response to changes in their surroundings. This ability to adapt to environmental shifts would have been crucial for survival in the varied climates of the Mesozoic, where temperature fluctuations between day and night were likely extreme. Another important concept that has gained traction in recent years is the idea of active metabolic regulation, as explained by Robert D.T. Sweeney. This theory builds on the idea that some dinosaurs might have had a metabolism more similar to that of modern birds than to reptiles. Sweeney suggests that certain species, especially theropods, could have had a more efficient and active metabolic system, allowing them to maintain higher levels of activity and body temperature than cold-blooded reptiles. This theory proposes that dinosaurs were not simply passive in terms of their energy usage. Rather, they may have had the ability to regulate their metabolism, much like modern birds, which are known to generate their own heat and remain active in a wide range of temperatures. The concept of active metabolic regulation offers a fascinating insight into how dinosaurs could have managed their energy and activity levels. If true, it would mean that dinosaurs were capable of a level of metabolic flexibility that we previously associated only with birds and mammals. This idea is particularly important when considering the evolutionary link between dinosaurs and birds, as it highlights the potential for birds to have inherited more than just feathers from their dinosaur ancestors. If some dinosaurs were able to regulate their metabolism in ways that resemble modern birds, it would provide further evidence that birds are indeed the living descendants of certain theropod dinosaurs. The question of dinosaur metabolism has also been greatly influenced by the latest techniques in fossil analysis. One of the most promising methods is isotopic analysis, which examines the chemical signatures found in dinosaur bones to infer information about their body temperature and metabolism. This technique allows scientists to study the internal chemistry of dinosaur bones, providing direct evidence of how these animals managed heat. Recent isotopic studies suggest that some dinosaurs may have had a mixed metabolic system, with some species exhibiting characteristics of both cold-blooded and warm-blooded animals. This discovery adds another layer of complexity to our understanding of dinosaur physiology, showing that the metabolism of these ancient animals was likely more varied than we ever thought possible. The debate over whether dinosaurs were cold-blooded or warm-blooded may never be fully resolved, but recent research has certainly broadened our understanding of dinosaur physiology. Far from being simple, one-dimensional creatures, dinosaurs were likely more adaptable and complex than we have traditionally given them credit for. The possibility that some dinosaurs were capable of regulating their body temperature, generating their own heat, and maintaining higher levels of activity challenges long-standing assumptions and opens up new avenues of research into their behavior and evolution. As scientists continue to explore these theories, we are sure to learn even more about how dinosaurs lived, survived, and thrived in the ever-changing world of the Mesozoic. The discovery of Archaeopteryx, a small dinosaur-like bird that lived around 150 million years ago, stands as one of the most pivotal moments in paleontology. When the first fossils of Archaeopteryx were uncovered in the Solnhofen limestone of Bavaria, Germany, in the mid-19th century, it ignited a revolution in our understanding of the relationship between birds and dinosaurs. This discovery provided the first direct evidence that birds were not simply a separate, unrelated group of animals, but were instead closely related to theropod dinosaurs. For much of history, birds were seen as a separate class of animals, distinct from the reptiles that dominated the Earth long before. However, the unique characteristics of Archaeopteryx, with its feathered wings, teeth, and long bony tail, suggested that the evolution of flight was far more complicated than previously believed. The anatomical features shared between Archaeopteryx and theropod dinosaurs, such as the shape of the pelvis, the structure of the legs, and even the arrangement of bones in the wings, provided concrete evidence of an evolutionary link between these two groups of animals. In a sense, Archaeopteryx became a missing link, a creature that helped bridge the gap between dinosaurs and modern birds, fundamentally altering our understanding of the origin of flight. But the story of how birds evolved from dinosaurs is far from simple, and new theories continue to emerge, offering alternative perspectives on the process. Catherine M. Alexander and James A. Clark, two researchers who have made significant contributions to the study of dinosaur-bird evolution, have proposed that birds did not evolve from large theropods like Tyrannosaurus rex as traditionally thought, but rather from smaller theropods in a completely different evolutionary path. This hypothesis challenges the traditional view by suggesting that the origin of birds could be traced back to smaller, more agile theropods, like Compsognathus, which might have been more similar to modern birds in terms of their behavior and ecological role. According to Alexander and Clark, the smaller theropods may have developed many of the early characteristics that birds exhibit today, such as flight-related adaptations before larger theropods. Their theory suggests that the evolution of flight was a gradual process, beginning with smaller, more lightweight dinosaurs that developed the necessary adaptations for gliding and, eventually, powered flight. This new perspective implies that the lineage leading to modern birds was more diverse and multifaceted than we previously understood, with different groups of theropods evolving different traits at different rates. Adding to this complexity is the evolving understanding of how feathers first appeared in dinosaurs. For years, feathers were thought to have evolved primarily for flight, with the belief that early feathers were simply used as gliding surfaces or aerodynamic structures. However, recent research has suggested that feathers might have initially evolved for entirely different purposes. Luis Chiappe, a leading expert on dinosaur flight, has argued that the earliest feathers may have been used for insulation, helping dinosaurs regulate their body temperature in a way that would have been essential for survival in fluctuating climates. Chiappe's work, along with the discoveries of fossilized feathered dinosaurs in China, has shown that feathers may have served multiple functions long before they were used for flight. Feathers, in this context, could have been employed for display purposes, attracting mates or signaling other behaviors, much like the colorful plumage seen in modern birds. The idea that feathers initially served as a form of insulation or display challenges our previous assumptions about the role of feathers in dinosaur evolution, showing that these structures were not solely associated with flight, but were part of a broader range of evolutionary functions. While the majority of paleontologists now accept that birds are directly descended from theropod dinosaurs, there are still some who argue that birds may have evolved from a separate group of dinosaurs altogether. Vladimir Dines, a paleontologist who has studied theropod lineage in great detail, has proposed that birds could have evolved from a distinct line of smaller dinosaurs that were not directly related to the theropods. Dinet's theory challenges the idea of a direct transition from theropods to birds, instead suggesting that birds could have evolved from smaller, more lightly built dinosaurs that had already developed some bird-like features, such as feathers, before the evolution of flight. According to Dines, this separate lineage could explain some of the differences in the anatomy of modern birds compared to theropods. While the traditional view holds that birds are direct descendants of theropods, Dinet's research suggests that the evolution of birds could have been a more complex and multifaceted process, involving the convergence of traits from different groups of dinosaurs. His theory highlights the possibility that the early ancestors of birds might have shared characteristics with multiple dinosaur lineages, resulting in the diverse array of traits we see in birds today. The question of how advanced these early birds were in comparison to modern birds is another area of ongoing debate. While Archaeopteryx is widely considered the earliest known bird, it's important to remember that it still retained many features of its dinosaur ancestors, such as teeth and a long tail. This has led to the question of how far back in time we can trace the evolution of birds and how bird-like these early species actually were. Were these early birds already capable of flight, or were they simply gliders that had developed some of the basic flight adaptations like feathers, but still retained many dinosaur-like characteristics? Some researchers, such as Yu Xing and other paleontologists who have studied early theropods, suggest that Archaeopteryx was part of a broader continuum of evolution, where various theropod species gradually developed the traits necessary for flight. In this view, Archaeopteryx represents an intermediate stage, an evolutionary stepping stone in the development of flight. Other studies have proposed that the transition to full flight was a much more complex process, with some species of theropods gliding and others potentially developing wing-like structures for display or thermoregulation before the evolution of flight itself. As the debate over the origin of birds continues, one thing is certain. The relationship between dinosaurs and birds is more intricate and fascinating than we ever realized. The discovery of feathered dinosaurs, the rethinking of early bird evolution, and the ongoing exploration of new fossil evidence have all contributed to a more nuanced understanding of how birds evolved from their dinosaur ancestors. Whether through gliding, display, or thermoregulation, feathers evolved for a variety of reasons, ultimately leading to the birds we know today. The complex and fascinating link between dinosaurs and birds continues to reshape our understanding of both groups, and as new discoveries are made, we're sure to learn even more about how one of Earth's most iconic groups of animals came to be. The fascinating world of dinosaurs has long captivated the imagination, not only through fossils and scientific discoveries, but through the vibrant and often breathtaking reconstructions that have brought these ancient creatures to life. The art of paleoart, which began in the mid-19th century, has played an essential role in shaping how we visualize dinosaurs and their environments. The first steps toward creating these reconstructions were taken by artists and scientists like Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins, who in the mid-19th century designed life-size dinosaur models for the Crystal Palace Park in London. These early models were groundbreaking at the time, offering the public their first glimpses of what dinosaurs might have looked like. However, these early attempts at reconstruction were based on the limited fossil evidence available at the time, and many of the dinosaurs depicted were overly simplistic and inaccurate by today's standards. Despite this, Hawkins' work was a major milestone in the history of paleoart, helping to spark public interest in dinosaurs and contributing to the ongoing conversation between science and art. As paleontological discoveries advanced throughout the 20th century, so did the field of paleoart. Artists like John Sibbick and Mark Whitten began to take on the challenge of creating more scientifically accurate depictions of dinosaurs, based on the latest fossil evidence and research. Their work has been instrumental in refining the public's understanding of dinosaurs, pushing the boundaries of what we know about dinosaur anatomy, behavior, and appearance. Sibbick, for example, has been known for his detailed and scientifically informed illustrations, which have become iconic representations of dinosaurs in popular culture. His depictions of creatures like Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops show them as dynamic, active creatures, nothing like the sluggish, cold-blooded reptiles they were once thought to be. Sibbick's work shows the dinosaurs as more bird-like and agile, drawing on newer theories about their metabolism, behavior, and social structures. Mark Whitten's contributions to paleoart have also been influential, especially with his depictions of pterosaurs, the flying reptiles that lived alongside the dinosaurs. Whitten's work is informed by cutting-edge research into the biomechanics of flight and the anatomy of pterosaurs, which has allowed him to create reconstructions that challenge long-standing assumptions about these creatures. He's known for his careful attention to detail, combining scientific accuracy with artistic creativity, offering a more nuanced understanding of the diversity of prehistoric life. Whitten, like Sibbick, draws on the latest fossil evidence and paleontological theories to create images of dinosaurs and their ecosystems that are both scientifically grounded and artistically engaging. The evolution of paleoart has not only been about refining the appearance of dinosaurs, but also about deepening our understanding of their behavior. Gregory S. Paul, one of the most prominent figures in paleoart, has had a profound impact on how we view dinosaur life. His artistic choices have shaped public understanding of dinosaur behavior and have contributed to a significant shift in how we think about these animals. Paul's depictions often emphasize the agility, intelligence, and social complexity of dinosaurs, which directly challenge the traditional view of them as slow, lumbering reptiles. His work on theropods, particularly his iconic reconstruction of Tyrannosaurus rex, highlights the creature's powerful, dynamic nature, emphasizing its potential for speed and agility rather than merely focusing on its size and ferocity. Paul's artistic contributions are grounded in his scientific research, and his reconstructions have helped to bring attention to the more active, bird-like characteristics of dinosaurs. He also pioneered the idea that dinosaurs, particularly theropods, were likely covered in feathers or feather-like structures, by illustrating these animals with more complex skin covering and dynamic postures. Paul's work began to challenge the conventional, outdated image of dinosaurs as lumbering, cold-blooded creatures. His artwork opened the door for a more nuanced and scientifically informed view of dinosaur physiology and behavior, which continues to influence paleoart today. As the relationship between science and art evolved, paleontologists like David Norman also made significant contributions to how we portray dinosaur behavior. Norman's groundbreaking research on dromaeosaurs, small, feathered theropods, has had a direct influence on the way artists now depict these dinosaurs. Norman's work, which emphasizes the agility and intelligence of dromaeosaurs, has been instrumental in pushing paleoartists to reconsider the portrayal of dinosaurs as solely primitive and unintelligent. Dromaeosaurs, like Velociraptor, were once viewed as brutish, one-dimensional hunters, but Norman's research has revealed their potential for complex behaviors, such as hunting in packs or caring for young. These new insights have encouraged paleoartists to portray dromaeosaurs in more dynamic and socially complex ways, showing them as more bird-like in their behavior and appearance, reflecting the latest paleontological theories. The portrayal of dinosaurs has always been, to some degree, a reflection of our cultural views of these ancient creatures. As new discoveries are made, our perceptions of dinosaurs shift, and so too do the artistic representations of them. Paleoart has become not just an expression of scientific knowledge, but also an exploration of the cultural significance of these creatures. The work of artists and paleontologists has been instrumental in shaping how the public views dinosaurs and their world, influencing everything from museum exhibits to blockbuster movies. This brings us to a more philosophical discussion about the role of artistic interpretation in paleontology, as discussed by scholars like A.K.R.K. Brower. Brower's work has emphasized that dinosaurs are not simply subjects of scientific study, but are also cultural representations. The way we portray dinosaurs, whether in museum dioramas, textbooks, or films, shapes how we understand them as a society. Paleoart, in this context, becomes a bridge between science and the imagination, allowing us to engage with these ancient creatures in a way that is both scientifically informed and culturally resonant. The artistic decisions made by paleoartists, from the posture of a dinosaur to the colours of its skin, have a direct impact on how we perceive its behaviour and place in the world. For example, the depiction of dinosaurs in popular media, like the Jurassic Park films, has shaped how entire generations think about these creatures. While the Jurassic Park films have sparked widespread interest in dinosaurs, their portrayal of these animals often prioritises drama and spectacle over scientific accuracy. The velociraptors in Jurassic Park, for example, are shown as cunning, highly intelligent hunters, which, while exciting, doesn't fully reflect the complex, nuanced understanding of dromaeosaurs that researchers like Norman have helped develop. In this way, paleoart in popular culture can influence both the scientific community and the public's perception of what dinosaurs were truly like. Paleoart is a powerful tool for communicating not just scientific information, but also for exploring how we relate to the past and the creatures that once dominated the Earth. As scientific understanding of dinosaurs continues to evolve, so too will the art that brings these creatures to life. From Hawkins' first sculptures to the digital reconstructions of today, paleoart will continue to play a vital role in shaping our understanding of dinosaurs, helping us not only to see them, but to understand them in deeper and more meaningful ways. As our understanding of dinosaurs continues to evolve, cutting-edge technologies are playing an increasingly important role in expanding the boundaries of dinosaur research. The traditional tools of paleontology, picking apart fossils and carefully analysing bone structure, are still crucial, but new methods are allowing scientists to peer deeper into the past, revealing secrets that were once out of reach. Technologies like CT scanning, X-ray synchrotron imaging, and molecular analysis have completely transformed the way we study ancient creatures. One of the leading pioneers in this field is Mary Schweitzer, whose groundbreaking work in molecular paleontology has opened up entirely new possibilities for understanding dinosaurs. Schweitzer became famous for her discovery in 2003 when she successfully extracted soft tissues and blood vessels from a Tyrannosaurus rex fossil. This discovery was nothing short of revolutionary, challenging the long-held belief that organic materials could not survive the millions of years since the dinosaurs' extinction. Schweitzer's work has since led to a wealth of new research into the preservation of ancient proteins and DNA, sparking debates about the potential for recovering more genetic material from dinosaurs and other extinct creatures. Schweitzer's research on soft tissue has also raised the intriguing possibility of using molecular analysis to reconstruct the biology of dinosaurs in more detail than ever before. By studying the proteins, collagen, and other molecular remnants preserved in fossilized bones, scientists can gain insights into the metabolic processes of dinosaurs, their growth rates, and even their behavior. This type of research has the potential to answer questions about the evolution of birds from theropod dinosaurs, shedding light on how certain traits such as feathers may have evolved over time. As technologies improve and more fossils are examined, we may find ourselves with a much clearer picture of what dinosaurs looked like and how they functioned. Alongside Schweitzer's work, researchers like Hans Larsen have been utilizing modern imaging techniques like X-ray synchrotron imaging to explore the internal structure of dinosaur fossils in unprecedented detail. This technology uses powerful X-rays to penetrate the fossil and produce high-resolution images of its internal features. This technique has allowed paleontologists to examine fossilized bones without damaging them, revealing hidden details about how dinosaurs' bones and muscles were structured and how they moved. Through synchrotron imaging, scientists have discovered things like the intricate patterns of bone growth in the limbs of dinosaurs, which can help us understand how they moved, ran, and walked. These technologies are providing new insights into the biomechanics of dinosaurs, showing that they were more sophisticated in their movement and activity than we might have once thought. But the world of dinosaur research is not just limited to physical fossils and imaging techniques. Recently, the realm of quantum physics has begun to intersect with paleontology in ways that could have profound implications for understanding the distant past. The idea of using quantum theories to unravel mysteries of the ancient world may sound speculative, but some physicists, like David Deutsch, have proposed that it might be possible to manipulate time to better understand past events, including the mass extinctions that wiped out the dinosaurs. This theory, known as time manipulation or time reversal, suggests that quantum mechanics could one day allow scientists to reconstruct past events with incredible precision. If this theory proves viable, it could open up a whole new way of looking at the events that led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. We could potentially use quantum models to simulate the environmental conditions and catastrophic events of the late Cretaceous, such as the asteroid impact that is believed to have triggered the extinction event. Although we are still far from applying this technology to paleontology in a practical sense, the idea that quantum physics could play a role in reconstructing ancient history is an exciting frontier for science. As we look to the future, another important area of research lies in the preservation of dinosaur DNA. Building on Schweitzer's early discoveries, scientists are now focused on exploring how ancient DNA might be preserved in fossilized remains. Dinosaur DNA is incredibly difficult to recover, but there are promising new techniques emerging. Researchers are using advanced methods like high-throughput sequencing and next-generation DNA analysis to extract and analyze small fragments of ancient DNA that may still be present in fossils. These techniques hold the potential for providing new insights into the genetic makeup of dinosaurs, which could help us better understand their evolutionary history and how they were related to modern birds and reptiles. In addition to DNA analysis, another promising tool is dendrochronology, the study of tree rings, which has recently been applied to uncover details about the climate during the time of the dinosaurs. By studying ancient tree rings preserved in fossils or sediment cores, scientists can gain insights into past climate conditions, including temperature, precipitation, and atmospheric composition. This information is crucial for understanding how environmental changes may have influenced the development and extinction of the dinosaurs. For example, by examining tree ring data from the late Cretaceous, scientists have been able to reconstruct climate patterns and identify periods of significant environmental stress, such as droughts or volcanic eruptions, that may have contributed to the decline of dinosaur populations. This new data is also being integrated with studies of ancient ecosystems, creating a more comprehensive picture of the world in which dinosaurs lived. With this combination of fossil evidence, climate data, and genetic analysis, we are beginning to understand not only the biology of dinosaurs, but also the complex environmental factors that shape their lives. As scientists continue to explore the interactions between dinosaurs and their ecosystems, it is likely that new technologies will provide even deeper insights into how these ancient creatures evolved and how their extinction was influenced by climate and environmental changes. Looking ahead, One of the most pressing questions is how modern-day climate change might provide clues to understanding past extinctions. Some scientists are drawing parallels between the mass extinction of the dinosaurs and the current environmental challenges faced by Earth today. As we see rising temperatures, changing sea levels, and increasing carbon dioxide levels, it's possible that lessons from the past could help us understand the potential consequences of our modern-day actions. By studying past extinction events and understanding how dinosaurs and other species adapted to dramatic environmental shifts, we may be able to make more informed decisions about how to address today's climate crisis. The future of dinosaur research is as exciting as it is uncertain, with new technologies and interdisciplinary approaches offering unprecedented opportunities to expand our knowledge of these ancient creatures. From quantum physics to molecular analysis, the cutting-edge tools and methods being developed today have the potential to revolutionize our understanding of the distant past. As these technologies continue to evolve, so too will our ability to answer some of the most enduring questions about the dinosaurs. How did they live? How did they evolve? And how did their world change in ways that ultimately led to their extinction? With every discovery, we are one step closer to unraveling the mysteries of the ancient world. As we reflect on the incredible journey of dinosaurs, from their rise as the dominant creatures of the Mesozoic era to their sudden and dramatic extinction, we realize just how much there is still to discover. These ancient creatures once ruled the Earth for over 165 million years, shaping ecosystems in ways we're still trying to fully understand. Their story is not just one of extinction, but one of transformation, adaptation, and complexity. Ideas that continue to evolve as paleontology itself pushes the boundaries of science. Paleontology has always thrived on the diversity of thought, where new ideas challenge long-standing theories, and scientists continue to question and refine the narratives of the past. Theories about dinosaurs' behaviors, their metabolic functions, and their place in the evolutionary tree have changed dramatically over the past century. Early paleontologists imagined dinosaurs as sluggish, cold-blooded giants, but new discoveries have reshaped that image, suggesting instead that they were far more dynamic, complex, and interconnected with the world around them than we ever imagined. Whether it's the discovery of feathered dinosaurs, the possibility that some species exhibited social behaviors, or the ongoing debate about their metabolism and thermoregulation, the field of paleontology is a testament to how science thrives on curiosity and an ever-developing understanding of the past. It's the continued questioning of established narratives that fuels scientific progress. Each discovery, whether it's a fossilized nest, a feathered theropod, or a breakthrough in imaging technology, adds a new layer to the story of dinosaurs. We have learned that dinosaurs were not simply ancient creatures whose time ended abruptly, but were part of a much larger evolutionary puzzle, a legacy that continues to unfold through new research and innovative technologies. The theories proposed by scientists like Mary Schweitzer, John Hutchinson, and David Polito, along with new methods like molecular analysis and CT scanning, have given us a deeper understanding of how these creatures lived, behaved, and evolved. As we stand at the crossroads of this ever-expanding field, it's important to remember the legacy that dinosaurs leave behind. Their rise to dominance, their spectacular diversity, and their eventual extinction are not just ancient history, but pieces of a much larger story about life on Earth. Their extinction, while tragic, paved the way for the rise of mammals and eventually humans. This intertwining of life forms across time underscores the importance of understanding our planet's past, not just for academic curiosity, but to gain insights into our future. The future of dinosaur research is bright, with each new discovery expanding our understanding of Earth's distant past. Whether through cutting-edge technologies like synchrotron imaging or the potential preservation of ancient DNA, the journey of exploration continues. The curiosity that drives paleontologists to uncover the hidden stories of these ancient creatures is the same curiosity that has inspired generations of scientists and will continue to inspire many more in the future. So, as we close this chapter, remember that the world of dinosaurs is still full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The science of paleontology is as much about asking questions as it is about finding answers. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop learning, because the past is full of wonders, and with each new discovery we get one step closer to understanding the creatures that once roamed the Earth. Their story is far from over, and we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of what we can learn from these magnificent beings that once ruled our planet